In the heart of Lagos, at the most exclusive restaurant in Victoria Island, a mistake was made. Catastrophic one. Amara Chijioke, a brilliant and fiercely proud Nigerian event planner, was finalizing the details for her biggest client yet. She didn't know the table in the corner, shrouded in quiet authority, was occupied by Kim Tae-Jun, the infamous silent tiger of Seoul's underworld, now expanding his empire to Nigeria. And she certainly didn't know his lieutenant would deliberately trip her waiter, sending a plate of spicy jollof rice crashing onto Tae-Jun's immaculate white suit. The restaurant froze. The air, once filled with soft jazz, turned to ice. Amara saw her career, her mother's medical bills, her entire future, flash before her eyes. But what she saw next boiled her blood. Tae-Jun didn't look at the ruined suit. He looked at her. And with a gaze as cold as a Seoul winter, he flicked a grain of rice from his sleeve and uttered, in heavily accented but perfect English, "This country is as clumsy as its service." The racist slur, delivered so calmly, was a match to Amara's pent-up fury. The lieutenant smirked. The other patrons looked away, knowing who he was. But Amara's pride, her Naija spirit, couldn't be contained. She saw her father's face, a man who taught her to stand tall against any bully. Before her mind could catch up, her body moved. The crack echoed like a gunshot. Her palm connected with his cheek in a slap that turned every head in the restaurant. Silence, absolute and terrifying, descended. Amara's breath caught. She had just slapped the most dangerous man in the room. Maybe in the whole city. Her bravery instantly curdled into sheer, mortal terror. Tae-Jun slowly turned his face back to her. A red mark bloomed on his cheek. His dark eyes held no anger, only a terrifying, calculating intensity. He stared at her, for what felt like an eternity, as his men reached inside their jackets. Then he raised a single hand to stop them. He leaned forward, and in a voice so low only she could hear, he spoke 7 words. 7 words that made the blood drain from her face. "You are now my property," he said. "Take her." His words didn't make sense. Property. The shock was so profound, Amara couldn't even scream as 2 stone-faced men guided her, not roughly but with unbreakable firmness, out of the restaurant. The entire place was evacuated with a single look from Tae-Jun. Shut down. Just like that. She was placed in the back of a black SUV, seated beside the man whose face she'd struck. The scent of his cologne and the faint, lingering aroma of jollof rice filled the space. "Where are you taking me?" she finally demanded, voice trembling not with fear now, but with rage. Tae-Jun stared out the tinted window at the Lagos night. "You have a fire," he stated, as if assessing a business asset. "A stupid, reckless fire. In my world, such an insult is paid for with a finger. Or a life." Amara's heart hammered. "Then take my finger and let me go," she spat. He finally looked at her. "No. The slap was the first honest thing I've seen in this city. Everyone else bows. You attack. That fire has value. You will work for me." Amara laughed, a hysterical sound. "Work for you? I'd rather die." Tae-Jun's lips twitched, not in a smile, but in acknowledgement. "A 3-month contract. You plan my corporate launch events here in Lagos. You channel that passion into creating impeccable impressions. At the end, you walk away with triple your usual fee, and your life." It was a devil's bargain. But her mother's dialysis costs flashed in her mind. The mountain of debt. This monster was offering a way out, wrapped in a cage. "And if I refuse?" she whispered. Tae-Jun returned his gaze to the window. "Then I return you to the restaurant. And I let my lieutenant collect his apology." The unspoken threat was clear. She was trapped. The car stopped not at a hideout, but at a stunning penthouse overlooking the lagoon. "Your new office and residence for the contract duration," Tae-Jun said. "You will be comfortable. And watch. Always." As she was led inside, the scale of her prison dawned on her. This was no ordinary gangster. He was a kingpin. And she had just been drafted into his court. The question was, would she be a servant? Or something else? Her first night in the gilded cage, Amara found a dossier on the dining table. It was the profile of Tae-Jun's biggest rival, a man moving in on his territory. Stamped on the cover was a single, chilling word: target. Was her first event a launch? Or a trap? The penthouse was a masterpiece of cold luxury. All sharp lines, floor-to-ceiling glass, and art that looked expensive but felt empty. For Amara, it was a prison of silence and anxiety. Her every move was observed by the discreet but ever-present staff. Tae-Jun was a ghost, appearing only for brief, intense meetings about the launch event for his legitimate front, a high-end fintech company called Han River Holdings. During these meetings, Amara saw a different man. Not the Mafia boss but a sharp, visionary CEO. He criticized her ideas with brutal precision, but also, once, nodded at her suggestion to incorporate traditional Nigerian attire patterns into the branding. It shows respect for the local market, he'd conceded. That tiny nod felt like a victory. Confused her. How could the man who called her property understand cross-cultural nuance? Her curiosity became a dangerous thing. She started to notice the cracks in his armor. The way he'd massage his temple after a call from Seoul. His voice dropping into a guttural, threatening Korean. The lone photograph in his private study. A faded picture of a young boy and a woman by the Han River. He had a past. Human past. And that was more terrifying than his cruelty. The tension was a live wire between them. One evening, reviewing seating plans, their hands brushed over a blueprint. A jolt, electric and undeniable, passed between them. Both froze. Tae-Jun's dark eyes locked onto hers, and for a fleeting second, the calculated ice melted, revealing something raw and startled. He was the first to pull away, his voice returning to its Arctic tone. "Stick to the plan, Miss Chijiok." But the moment had changed everything. Amara's hatred now simmered with a forbidden attraction. She began to see his isolation, the weight of his empire. The day before the big launch, she found him on the terrace at night, staring at the city lights. "Why Nigeria?" she asked, surprising herself. He didn't turn. "Seoul is a cage of ghosts. Here, the chaos is honest. Like your slap." He finally looked at her. "Tomorrow, the rival will come. He will try to sabotage the event. Your job is to ensure everything is perfect." The launch night arrived. The event was flawless, a blend of Korean elegance and Nigerian vibrancy. Just as Tae-Jun was to give his speech, the power in the entire banquet hall went out. Pitch black. Panic stirred. Then, Amara felt a hand clamp over her mouth and a blade press against her ribs. A voice hissed in her ear. The silent tiger should have stayed in his jungle. It was the rival. In the suffocating darkness, with a knife at her side, Amara's mind raced. The rival's hot breath against her ear. Tell him to step down from the Lagos deal. Or his new favorite pet gets hurt. Fear threatened to paralyze her, but then she remembered Tae-Jun's words. Asterisk, your fire has value. Asterisk, this was not just an attack on him. It was an attack on the world she'd built tonight. Her work. Using a move her brother taught her for Lagos traffic emergencies. She stomped hard on her captor's instep and elbowed back with all her force. He grunted, grip loosening. She didn't scream. Instead, she yelled into the chaos. Tae-Jun! The generators are on the south wall. The manual override is red. She remembered it from the venue schematics. In the blackout, information was a weapon. Second later, a crash. A grunt of pain. Then, the hum of generators roared to life. Lights flooded back. The scene was chaotic. Tae-Jun stood over the rival, who was pinned by two bodyguards. But Tae-Jun's eyes weren't on his enemy. They were locked on Amara, chest heaving, dress torn at the shoulder. A feral, possessive rage burned in his gaze. Without a word, he strode to her, stripping off his tailored jacket and draping it over her shoulders, his hands lingering for a moment. He turned to the crowded room of shocked elites. His voice, amplified and deadly calm, cut through the murmurs. A clumsy attempt at disruption. Forgive the drama. The open bar will continue for another hour. It was a masterful recovery, but the real message was in his actions. He had publicly claimed her, not as property, but as his protector. The rumor mill would spin wild. Back at the penthouse, the professional facade shattered. You could have been killed, he roared, the first time she'd seen him lose control. Why did you not just scream? Amara stood her ground, the jacket still around her. Because I'm not just your decorator. I gave you a solution. Did you expect me to just bow? The word hung between them, echoing his initial insult. Tae-Jun stared, his anger dissolving into stunned awe. He closed the distance, cupping her face, the same cheek she had struck. His thumb brushed it. The air crackled. He was going to kiss her. She knew it. And she knew, with terrifying clarity, that she wanted him to. But his phone buzzed violently. He glanced at the screen, and his face hardened into a mask of deadly ice. My past, he said hollowly, is here. The message was from Seoul. It contained a single blurry photo of the woman from his old photograph. She was in a hospital bed. The caption read, "Come home, son, or she pays for your disobedience." The moment was shattered. The vulnerable man vanished, replaced by the stone-cold boss. But he didn't release her face. My mother, he said, the words ripped from him. My father, the real boss in Seoul, is using her to force my return. To abandon Lagos. Amara understood then. His empire was a rebellion. His cruelty a shield. The weight he carried was familial, a toxic legacy. In that shared silence, an unspoken alliance was forged. Amara, against every sane instinct, saw a man fighting dragons, not a dragon himself. What will you do? She asked softly. Tae-Jun stepped back, running a hand through his hair. I must go to Seoul. The contract between us. It is void. You are free to go with full payment. He said it like a judge pronouncing a sentence. But freedom now felt like an abandonment. Amara surprised them both. Your launch here is fragile. If you leave now, your rivals will pick the carcass clean. Everything you built will collapse. She took a deep breath. Let me manage it. As your official Lagos partner. A business decision. Tae-Jun's eyes narrowed. Why would you risk that? After all I've done. She met his gaze, her fire now a steady flame. Because I believe in the vision we created tonight. Not yours. Ours. It was the boldest thing she'd ever said. Tae-Jun looked at her as if seeing a miracle. A ghost of a real, unguarded smile touched his lips. You are the most impossible woman. He made a decision. I will go to Seoul. I will leave my most trusted men here with you. Not as guards, as your team. You are in charge. He was handing her the keys to his kingdom, the ultimate test of trust. Before he left at dawn, he stood at her doorway. Amara, he said, using her name for the first time. It sounded like a prayer on his lips. If I don't return, burn it all down. Take the money and disappear. He turned to leave. Tae-Jun, she called out. He paused. Don't you dare not return, she commanded. I still owe you for that suit. For 2 weeks, Amara held the fort, her heart in her throat with every call. Then, a secure video link connected. Tae-Jun's face appeared, bruised and exhausted but alive. It is done, he said wearily. But before she could feel relief, his expression turned to horror. Amara, listen to me. My father is enraged. He knows about you. He thinks you're my weakness. He's sending someone to Lagos to remove the distraction. The screen glitched. His agent is already there. He's in your... The video call cut to black. At that exact moment, the penthouse elevator pinged open behind her. Amara spun around, her blood turning to ice. A man stood in the open-plan living room. He was older, impeccably dressed in a Seoul tailor's finest, with a smile that didn't reach his cold eyes. He held up a smartphone, showing a frozen image of her and Tae-Jun from the terrace. Miss Chijiok. Pleasure. I am Mr. Park. I've come from Seoul to tidy up my foolish nephew's affairs. Every instinct screamed danger. This was the Real tiger, not the silent one, but a talkative, venomous serpent. Tae-Jun is the head of Han River Holdings here. His affairs are in order, Amara stated, channeling every ounce of her event planner poise. Mr. Park chuckled, wandering over to admire the view. This venture is a child's tantrum. His place is in Seoul, leading the family business, not playing tech CEO with a local fascination. The derogatory pause was deliberate. He turned, his smile gone. He defied his father for you. That slap story is quite the legend. Made him look weak. In our world, weakness is death. So you will disappear. A generous cash payment. A new life elsewhere. Or, he said, picking up a heavy crystal ornament, you will simply disappear. The threat hung in the air, thicker than Lagos harmattan dust. Amara was trapped. Tae-Jun's men were loyal, but would they defy a direct order from the family's top envoy? She had to think. This was a negotiation, and her currency was perception. If I am just a local fascination, why would the great boss in Seoul send his own brother to deal with me? She challenged. That doesn't sound weak. That sounds like I am a significant threat. Mr. Park's eye twitched. She'd hit a nerve. You are a mosquito. Annoying but easily swatted. Mosquitoes carry deadly diseases, Mr. Park. Amara fired back, her courage fueled by desperation. Tae-Jun's success here is built on respect for this market. Remove me violently, and the chaos will sink his venture, costing your family millions. Is that your goal? To bankrupt his rebellion out of spite? Mr. Park studied her, a newfound grudging respect in his gaze. You have his fire. A pity. He put down the ornament. A deal then. Public test. Tomorrow at the charity gala you are planning. You will publicly insult and reject Tae-Jun. Humiliate him. Prove you are not his weakness. If you do, I will spare you and tell my brother his son is cured of this infatuation. It was an impossible choice. Betray Tae-Jun to save their future, or refuse and die now. The gala was the pinnacle of Lagos high society. Amara's mind raced as she prepared. Tae-Jun was flying back, unaware of the trap. She couldn't warn him. Mr. Park's eyes were everywhere. Her only weapon was the plan itself. She had to stage a rejection so convincing it would fool a shark like Mr. Park, yet leave a thread of hope for Tae-Jun to understand. Tae-Jun arrived, looking weary but his eyes searching for her with an intensity that made her heart ache. When they met, he moved to take her hand, but she stiffened. Mr. Kim. Welcome, she said, her voice formal and cold. Confusion flashed in his eyes. Mr. Park watched from a nearby table, a snake in the grass. During the speeches, Amara was called to the stage as the event organizer. As she spoke, she saw Tae-Jun's proud gaze. This was the moment. And we thank our keynote donor, Kim Tae-Jun of Han River, she said, her voice echoing. A man who believes he can buy anything, even respect, even loyalty. The crowd gasped. He came to Lagos thinking he could own it, own its people. She looked directly at him, pouring all her false contempt into her gaze. I have news for you. Some things in Nigeria are not for sale. Not our pride. And certainly not me. The silence was deafening. Tae-Jun's face was a mask of utter devastation. He looked betrayed, shattered. Mr. Park gave a slight, satisfied nod. Amara's performance was Oscar-worthy. It was killing her. She left the stage, her legs weak. Tae-Jun stood up, his chair scraping loudly. The entire room watched as he walked toward her, not with anger, but with a profound, quiet sorrow. He stopped before her. Is this your true heart, Amara? He asked, his voice raw. This was her cue. to complete the humiliation. But looking into his eyes, seeing the pain she'd caused, the words wouldn't come. Instead, a single traitorous tear escaped her eye, tracing a path down her cheek. It was the crack in her armor. Tae-Jun saw it. His eyes widened almost imperceptibly. He saw the tear, the slight tremble of her lip. The public insult but the private signal. He leaned close as if to kiss her, but whispered in her ear. His voice a blade of steel. "Play along. I see him." He then drew back and slapped her. Not hard, but loud enough for the room to hear. "You are fired from all my projects," he announced coldly, then turned and walked out. The ultimate public rejection. Amara stood, hand to her cheek, horrified. But in his retreating eyes, she hadn't seen hatred. She'd seen a plan. And a promise. Mr. Park smiled, mission accomplished. But as he stood to leave, Tae-Jun's head of security blocked his path. "Mr. Park. Mr. Kim requests a word in private." Now, in a secured room below the banquet hall, the familial Cold War turned hot. Tae-Jun faced his uncle. "You threatened her. You forced that spectacle." His voice was quiet, lethal. Mr. Park shrugged. "I cured you. Now come home." "You misunderstand," Tae-Jun said, pouring 2 glasses of soju. "Lagos is my home. She is my home." The declaration was absolute. "Your father will disown you. You will have nothing." Mr. Park spat. Tae-Jun sipped his drink. "I have my mother, now safe in a hospital in Singapore, thanks to the diversion your visit provided." Mr. Park paled. He had been outmaneuvered. Tae-Jun used his uncle's presence in Lagos as a distraction to rescue his mother. "And I have Han River Holdings, which is now fully independent of Seoul's money. And I have her loyalty, which you just witnessed is unbreakable, even under your threat." He placed a file on the table. "Your embezzlement from the family. The deals with the rival cartel in Busan. Father would be very interested." Mr. Park's arrogance crumbled. He was no longer the hunter but the prey. "What do you want?" Tae-Jun's smile was cold. "You will return to Seoul. You will tell my father I am dead to him. That Lagos failed. You will never speak Amara's name again. Or this file goes to every boss in Korea." It was a total victory. Tae-Jun had reclaimed his life, saved his mother, and protected his love, all in one move. But upstairs Amara was reeling. The staged slap, though gentle, stung with the memory of their first meeting. The circle was vicious. He found her on the terrace, where they'd first spoken personally. "Amara," he began. She turned, eyes blazing. "You hit me. I had to sell it," he pleaded, the cold boss gone, replaced by a desperate man. "I saw your tear. I knew it was a performance for him. I had to complete the scene to protect you. You should have trusted me with the plan," she shouted. The pain wasn't from the slap. It was from the exclusion, the feeling of being a pawn again. Tae-Jun did something he'd never done before anyone. He knelt. On one knee. He took her hand. "You are right. I am a fool. Trapped in old ways. I don't want a partner in business, Amara. I want a partner in life. With you I am not a boss or a son. I am just a man. A man who is hopelessly, desperately in love with a woman who is his equal in every way." He looked up, vulnerable. "Can you ever forgive me?" Before she could answer, a scream erupted from the gala. Then gunshots. Mr. Park, in a final act of spite, had not come alone. Kiss. The calculated world of business warfare dissolved into raw violence. Mr. Park's desperate backup plan, a team of mercenaries, stormed the gala, shattering crystal and terrorizing guests. Their target wasn't Tae-Jun. It was Amara. The ultimate punishment. Tae-Jun moved like lightning, shoving Amara behind a marble pillar as bullets peppered the wall where she'd stood. "Stay down," he commanded, his voice the calm center of the storm. He drew a weapon from a hidden holster. The silent tiger was unleashed. Amara watched, terrified and mesmerized, as he moved with lethal precision, not as a gangster but as a protector. His men engaged, a fierce firefight echoing in the opulent hall. This was the brutal reality of the world he came from, a world now hunting her because of him. In the fray, a gunman broke through, aiming at Amara. Tae-Jun had no clear shot. Without hesitation, he threw himself in front of her. The sound of the shot was deafening. Tae-Jun staggered, a dark bloom spreading on his shoulder. Amara's scream was raw. Rage, primal and fierce, erupted in her. She grabbed a fallen ice sculpture, a heavy, sharp swan, and with a cry that came from the depths of her soul, she brought it down on the gunman's head. He crumpled. The fight ended as quickly as it began. Security swarmed the remaining attackers. But Amara saw nothing but Tae-Jun, bleeding on the floor. She ripped her gown, pressing it to the wound, her hands stained with his blood. "Stay with me. You don't get to leave after that speech," she sobbed. His eyes, glazed with pain, found hers. "You hit him with a swan," he managed, a pained, genuine laugh escaping his lips. "My fierce queen." In the ambulance, holding his hand, the last barriers fell. The wealth, the danger, the cultural divides, it all melted away. There was only this: the fear of loss, the absolute certainty of love. "Your contract," he whispered, weakly squeezing her hand. "It's null and void." Amara wiped her tears, a defiant smile breaking through. "Oh no, you're not getting out of it. I'm upgrading our terms. From property to partner. From boss to boyfriend. Permanently." Weeks later, Tae-Jun recovered. His empire secured and fully legitimate. He and Amara stood on the penthouse terrace, a real partnership forged in fire. He presented her with a small box. Not a ring. Indeed. 4 Han River Holdings Lagos. Husio. It was the ultimate sign of respect. As she embraced him, his phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. It was a photo of them on the terrace, taken from afar. The caption: "The silent tiger has a new weakness. And in Seoul, weakness is still death. We are coming for her." The war they thought was over had just entered a new, more dangerous chapter. The peace was an illusion. The message was a declaration of war from the shadows of Seoul. The old guard, humiliated by Tae-Jun's defection and Mr. Park's disgrace, would not let his love stand. Amara was no longer just a fascination. She was a symbol of his independence, and symbols must be broken. But the man who once called her property was now a different beast. A man in love fights not with cruelty, but with cunning ferocity. "We run," Amara said, practical fear in her eyes. Tae-Jun shook his head, pulling her close. "We ran once. To Lagos. I will not run from my life. From our life." His plan was not to retreat, but to redefine the battlefield. He used his legitimate fintech empire to launch a ruthless, legal offensive against his family's illicit assets in Asia, exposing them through shell companies and forensic audits. The war moved from back alleys to boardrooms and headlines. Amara was his secret weapon. Her understanding of Nigerian and international business norms, her impeccable public relations skill, shaped Han River Holdings into an untouchable, philanthropic powerhouse. They became the darling couple of Lagos society, the innovative Korean CEO and his brilliant Nigerian partner, building tech hubs and hospitals. To attack them publicly now would be to attack Nigeria's progress itself. Yet the private threats persisted. Sabotaged car. Poisoned invitation. Each attempt was met with a stronger, more unified front. Tae-Jun taught Amara to be aware, not afraid. She taught him to trust, not control. Their love became their fortress, stronger than any penthouse or army of guards. One night, after a thwarted attempt to hack their company servers, Tae-Jun held her face, just as she'd held her hand to slap him a lifetime ago. "That slap," he murmured, "was the beginning of my freedom. You woke me up." Amara smiled, tracing the faint scar on his shoulder. "And this bullet was the beginning of our truth. No more secrets." They had turned his 7 words of condemnation You are now my property, into a new pact. They were now each other's sanctuary, each other's home. The final message from Seoul came not as a threat, but as a ceasefire. A terse, legal document disavowing any claim to Tae-Jun or his enterprises. The cost of fighting them had become too high. They had won. Not by being more violent but by being more powerful in the light. On the terrace where it all began, under a blanket of Lego stars, Tae-Jun finally opened a different small box. This one held a ring, fashioned from a blend of Nigerian gold and Korean jade. Amara, my fiery queen, my equal, my home. Will you build a real future with me? Not as property but as partners. Not in my world or yours, but in a world we create together. Amara looked at the ring, then at the man. No longer a boss but her warrior, her love. Her answer was not a word. It was a kiss that held the promise of every tomorrow, a kiss that sealed their victory and began their forever. But remember, family dramas in empires like these. Are they ever truly over? A new player always rises. A forgotten heir. A jealous rival. And the next threat might not come from Seoul, but from much, much closer to home. Did you think the story ends with a ring? In a world this dangerous, love is just the beginning of the battle. What will happen when a figure from Amara's own past emerges? Someone who knows all her secrets and wants a piece of everything they've built. Will their cross-cultural love survive a betrayal from within? You cannot miss the next series. To find out if their hard-won piece shatters, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell right now. Your watch list isn't complete without the next explosive chapter. Subscribe so you're the first to know when her Nigerian ex returned as a billionaire and wants his revenge.